What's up everyone, back for another beer review, and today I will be reviewing a beer from the Pipeworks Brewing Company, and they're out of Chicago, Illinois, and this is their Ninja vs. Unicorn. So they're calling this one a double IPA that comes in at 8% alcohol by volume, 150 IBUs at the time of review. This can is just over 6 weeks old. I'm going to give a huge thanks and shout out to a good friend of mine and fellow beer tuber, Jay, over at This Guy's Thoughts, for hooking me up with this one. In the description box, I will post a link to Jay's channel and the beer mail unboxing video I did that contains all the goodies that Jay sent my way. And if you're not subscribed to Jay, I highly recommend doing so. Great guy, great content. He reviews other things than just beer. He does soft drinks, he does energy drinks, spirits, alcoholic eggnog, the whole nine. And he's a great guy, and he hooked me up with a couple beers that sound very interesting. Now, full disclosure, I've had this one before. We used to get pretty decent distribution of Pipeworks stuff here in the Western New York area. Over the past couple years, I really haven't seen any of their stuff, but I had this one about 6 years ago, and it was really good. It was kind of like one of those old school meets new school double IPAs where, you know, it's juicy, but it's also bitter, has that like pine resin. I just remember it being really delicious, and I'm super excited to actually review this one. So Jay kind of snuck this in the mail, and I am so happy that he did. So let's crack this one open. 150 IBUs. I remember this one not really drinking, you know, crazily. This might explode out of here. I don't know. And a little bit of, maybe not though, maybe not. 150 IBUs doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things. The international bitterness units, a lot of times if you have enough malt to kind of offset the IBUs, you really don't taste them. It happens a lot. A lot of breweries don't even list the IBUs. I have OCD, so at the beginning of every review, I like to list the IBUs if I know the beer has it, but more often than not, it doesn't really match the bitterness a lot of times. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, that has this really hazy yellow color. Probably be a little bit more dull on camera, but in person, hazy yellow. Not like super murky and turbid, like there's a little bit you can see through. A gentle haze, we'll say. About a finger, 3/4 of a finger of a bright white, somewhat creamy looking head, not really soap sudsy, but it looks pretty nice. Looks nice for what they're, you know, it's an 8% double IPA. I would say a little lighter than I anticipated, but looks fine, and it definitely has some alcohol legs in there. Let's get a nose. Oh yeah, definitely old school vibes of this one. So I'm getting a big blast of citrus, a lot of like freshly squeezed orange juice. There's a little bit of a like pithy white grapefruit, maybe a touch of pineapple in here. Yeah, stone fruits, mango, yeah, I'd say mango and pineapple mostly. On top of that, there's this really nice pine, almost earthy resin quality to the hops themselves. It smells beautiful. Yeah, it smells sweet, but you know it's gonna have a bitter punch on the back of the palate. Just smelling this beer, it's reminiscent of some of those beers I drank, you know, 5 to 7 years ago, where it would be super juicy, and on the back of the palate, it would bitter out nicely, like a more of a moderate to full-on bitterness. And that's what I'm kind of reminded of when I'm smelling this. Underlying like sweet, bready, almost honey-esque kind of malt character, as opposed to like a caramel or like an old school kind of malt. It's just not like the new school ones that can just be like slightly bready or crackery. Yeah, a little bit more of a robust malt profile. But it smells really fucking good. So let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. Thanks again, Jay. Yeah, exactly what I thought this beer was going to be. That's so nice. I feel like this beer is very akin to a lot of like the Vermont style IPAs that I've reviewed on the channel, like Sip of Sunshine, Second Fiddle, which I don't know if you'll see that before this review or not, probably so, I don't know. But very similar, where like, again, you have the new school influences of the juicy, fruity hops, but then you have that old school like bittering, and you taste a little bit of the malt, and that's kind of what this beer is in a nutshell. Body nice one, straight up medium body, 8%, I'm cool with that. The mouthfeel, it's effervescent, it's crisp on the palate, but it has a nice smooth finish to it. Taste, right front, hit with that honey-esque, bready type of malt. It's on the palate instantly and kind of degrades as it goes through the palate, but it's always there. But right up front, hit with pithy, juicy orange and grapefruit. Right after that, there's a touch, and I mean just a touch, of like I'm going to say an apricot, more so than mango. On the nose, it was more mango and pineapple. It's more apricot, little bit of pineapple. Then about 2/3 of the way through the palate, that's where the bitterness starts, and that's where the hops really shine. There's this really nice piney earthy, almost floral-esque hop component. It finishes moderately bitter with a semi-dry finish. So this is sweet with all of that malt goodness up front and then like the juicy hop character. But on the back of the palate, it flips the script and that floral, piney, almost earthy, resinous hop tone hits. This is one of the more balanced double IPAs that I have drank in a long time because it's that sweetness up front hits you and you're like, oh man, that's great. You know, juicy orange and the grapefruit, a little bit of that like pithy, rindy, zesty type of feel. And then a little dollop, a little kiss of the apricot and pineapple, but then it just falls right into that piney, earthy, resinous type of character on the back of the palate. So nice. Yeah, 8%. I can feel it a little bit like on the palate. There's like a slightly astringent alcohol type of feel on the finish. But it doesn't get in the way. It's not, when I say astringent, I mean very so slightly. It's like a little sharpness on the back of the palate. And I kind of know that it's a bigger beer because of that. A little bit of chest warming. Now this is, again, an older beer. So many of the new school double IPAs and triple IPAs hide the alcohol extremely well. A beer like this doesn't do that exactly, but it's not like you're drinking this and going, oh my God, super boozy. It's 8% and kind of drinks appropriately so. So they're not hiding the alcohol, but I don't really mind at all. As you can see, I'm putting this down. Yeah, that's going to go down like water in the best way possible. So really good beer. Kind of what I expected and what I remembered of this beer. Like I said, I think I had it in 2015 or 16, so you're talking 5 to 6 years ago, and it was really good then, and it's still really fucking good now. So I am going to give Ninja vs. Unicorn from Pipeworks. I'm going to give that a high 4.25 out of 5. I'm going to go 4.3 out of 5. This is hitting me in the feels right this second because I've mentioned this numerous times over probably the past couple years on my on my channel. I drink a lot of New England style IPAs, a lot of hazy IPAs, and I like them. I love them. I love some of them. They're delicious. But when I get a beer like this, it really reminds me of where beer came from, even 5 to 7 years ago. When I get an old school West Coast double IPA or like a Midwest double IPA like this, where the hops shine, but you still get the malt, you get everything that encompasses the beer, you get a firm bitterness. It just makes it, I guess nostalgia kicks in a little bit, but it just makes it very enjoyable to sit here and review it and kind of break it down, and hits me in the feels. Not gonna lie, hits me in the feels. So price and availability on this one, I didn't pick it up, so I don't know what it costs in Jay's neck of the woods, but I believe at the breweries, this is like 11, 12 bucks for a 4-pack, and probably out in distro, you know, probably 13, 14, maybe 15 bucks. Anything under $16 4-pack for this is a fucking good deal because this is a great beer. It's 8%, and yeah, I'm sure no matter where you get it, it's probably reasonably priced. The availability, I don't know. Like I said, we might still get it here in Western New York at some select locations, but we got it here, again, it was 16, 17, 18, but I haven't seen it in a couple years. I haven't been really looking, but next time I go to any of my local bottle shops, I'll have to see if they have any Pipeworks, because if so, I'm going to have to pick some up and review them, because I've had probably a half dozen offerings from them, all hop forward, and they were all pretty fucking delicious. This was one of my favorites. So thanks again to Jay for hooking me up with this one. If you haven't checked out his channel, like I said, highly recommend going over there and saying hi, and I appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. Fun fucking beer. Kind of an old school beer, and I'm digging it. So appreciate everybody stopping by. To the next one. Cheers.